Well, the people of Ondo East and West Federal Constituency in Ondo State, southwest Nigeria, have been assured of effective representation in governance if they are able to vote wisely during the next general election, considering their particular circumstances. According to Olumbe Akinkugbe, an aspirant on the platform of the All Progressives Congress for that federal seat, voting wisely means STEM education, resource control, gender equity, enhanced labour reforms, among other dividends of democracy. Well, Mr. Akinkugbe joins us now to have a chat. Welcome to Arise News. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Congratulations on your aspirations. I want to start by asking you, why now?
Why not now? I think there's no better time than the present, as we say. I've served in the administration of the current governor of Ondo State, Governor Olumbe Akinkugbe, for the past 5 years. I've had the front seat role at governance and the workings of it, and that's given me an opportunity to actually see where there are lapses, especially at the constituent level. And that basically enhanced my decision to throw my hat in the race because I wasn't satisfied with what I saw, what I met on ground, and I believe very much and very strongly that I'm able to offer better representation for my people.
All right, Mr. Akinkugbe, critics talking about the front row, front seat role you just mentioned, the critics may argue your closeness to Governor Akinkugbe might give you an unfair advantage over other candidates. So what do you make of this scenario?
Absolutely not. For those who know Akinkugbe, as we call him, he was the former president of the Nigerian Bar Association. He's the senior advocate of Nigeria. So I do not believe that there's a lot of people who understand the tenets of true democracy as Governor Akinkugbe. Just last week, he had a meeting with all the aspirants, called us to an open meeting where we all shared our thoughts and opinions on how the election was going to look like. And he assured every single person there of a level playing field. So for that reason, I have no doubt that everyone, all the aspirants are comfortable. If anything at all, I think it would be a disadvantage for me, for people thinking or assuming that I have the nod of the governor, which is in the case. I still have to go out there and prove myself. Although people, as a lot of Nigerians will know, are very proud, very resilient, so it will be very difficult to impose anyone on them.
Well, I must say I find it to be very strategic because you have your own website. And on your website, it says that you have a lot of milestones, many miles, 124 projects completed. I'm reading straight from there right now, 65 landmark achievements, 18 awards. But one of part of your legislative agenda, what caught my eye besides the STEM part, was where you said that you want to resource control, gender equity, labor laws, and the most interesting is cannabis regulation. So I find that very interesting. Why is that part of your agenda?
Well, again, if you've been following the government of Akinkugbe, this is something that's not entirely my idea. This is an idea that came out from the government, and it came out from resource control, as you mentioned earlier. Look, Thailand is probably the country in the world that has the most zero tolerance for narcotics. But in Thailand, the growth and the processing of cannabis for medicinal purposes and for export is actually decriminalized. So I see no reason why. Literally, we're burning when these people are arrested and they seize the cannabis, as it were, on the farms or wherever they find them. They're burnt. And to me, that seems a bit ludicrous. Why can we not convert that into a money spinner? In Canada today, this is an industry that's worth easily over $15 billion US. We're screaming that there's no revenue for the government. Everybody's in pains as far as this is concerned. Let's even have a discussion about it. It's worth that. And that's what legislation is about. It's about sponsoring bills that we can actually talk about. And if we talk about it, everybody has their opinion. We'll see what happens. But we firmly believe in Ondo State that this is an avenue for us to generate revenue for the country.
So on your platform, you talk about wanting to reform labour laws.
Yes.
Some may say, however, that laws on paper are one thing, implementation is something else.
Right.
What would you do to make sure that if you're even able to change those laws for the benefit of workers across the country, but also in Ondo State, how would you ensure that that makes a tangible difference for workers in your constituency?
Well, the first thing we have to do is engagement, because like you rightly said, having a law is one thing, but who's going to implement the laws? So engagement needs to be constant. We don't need to set up any committees. We already have certain institutions in place that can be the advocates of such laws and make sure that they're implemented. There also should be a reward system, which is what I would do, should I be privileged enough to be in that position, whereby you have companies who are celebrated, who are incentivized for their acts towards implementing and ensuring that these labor laws are effected. If you can put certain things in place, I believe it will have a domino effect. Once there's always a Me Too element in these things. If someone is seen as a performer and is being rewarded and is being recognized for it, people tend to want to do the same thing.
All right, if I may digress a little, do you believe in making an impact to serve humanity without actually being in governance? And what is your current interaction like with the constituent whom you are aspiring to serve?
Without a doubt, that's definitely something I'm very passionate about. I've been involved in the community even before I joined government, whether it's through empowerment projects, whether it's through, one thing I'd like to clarify though is they're two different things. As they say, a cassock does not make the preacher. Because you are good at being charitable does not mean that you make a good lawmaker or you make a good government official. I've been involved in the community for several years now. During the COVID, we had things that we did to make sure that the lives of our people were made a little bit better, because obviously the COVID affected them. As far as STEM education is concerned, I'll go back to that again. I've implemented a few ICT centers within the community because I, coming from that background, understand the fact that our children need to be prepared for the world that we're in today. Without any basic ICT skills, they are basically set up for failure, because there's no way anybody can be employed or anybody can go through life without any of those skills or attributes. So yeah, I'm very, very much involved in the community. My family on both sides are from Ondo State and from Ondo Town. My father lives there, so regardless of whether I have a choice, I have to go and visit my father, right? So the community is very close to my heart, and regardless of whatever happens, we're still going to be involved in there.
Well, I think the community actually is close to your heart, because you won the Ondo State Man of the Year People's Awards back in 2018. We see that. But just in case you're not able to actualize your political aspirations, what happens next for you?
Well, I'll go back to my personal business, which thank God that we have a thriving ICT service organization, amongst other things. And I'll be happy to serve in whatever capacity that I'm called to, but it's not the be-all, end-all. We'll continue to do what we do in the community, because it is important that each person makes an impact. As Nigerians, as Ondo people, as Yoruba people, we're naturally charitable. Everybody has a family member, a relative, or whatever it is that we're responsible for in one way or the other. So that's never going to stop. That's a true ethos of who we are as Nigerians.
So I want to stick with the topic of the community. And we've seen in recent days that several youth groups and unions have actually endorsed your opponent, Mr. Olumbe Akinkugbe, who's the incumbent, who's also from the APC. I want to give you an opportunity to convince these groups. Why should they change their endorsement? What would you do differently for their benefit?
Well, that's very easy, because I said earlier that being good at charity does not make you a good legislator. They're two different things. We've seen what the Otedolas and the Dangotes of this world have done in terms of charitable donations and what have you. They haven't necessarily come out to become representatives or governors or presidents. They're two different things. What I would do differently, and the records will show, I think it's abysmal for anybody who is a legislator to only sponsor 3 bills in 4 years, or almost 4 years anyway. My focus is very clear. Whilst I understand that we need to be charitable, my focus will be on empowerment that is sustainable. We can empower based on consumption. If I give you a bag of rice, you eat that bag of rice, next week again you are hungry. You need another bag of rice. However, if I put something into your hands, or I generate or bring in industries, bring in federal influence into the community that enables you to get employment, that enables our women, for example, to access perhaps loans. We all hear about a lot of intervention funds that the central bank is doing, that other organizations are doing. The Rural Electricity Agency is one of these agencies. Your job, first primary responsibility, is to bring development into your community from federal. That's what we sent you there to do as our representative. We did not send anybody to Abuja to come back to Ondo State and share rice, and share motorcycles, and share pepper grinders, or what have you. That, for me, is not development politics. That is politics of enslavement. And Ondo people are proud, Ondo people are industrious, Ondo people are enterprising. They want to be able to do things with their hands. That's the difference.
So teach a man how to fish, and he'll fish forever.
Absolutely,
well.
absolutely.
All right, let's still, talking about the polls here. The primary stage of elections are usually keenly contested, irrespective of party affiliation, despite consensus suggestions that is rearing its head these days. So what are your expectations on this one?
Expectations of myself?
Yeah, regarding the elections, the primary stage.
Well, the expectation is to win, and to win convincingly. I mean, I mentioned earlier, we had a meeting with the governor where he addressed all the aspirants and gave us the opportunity. As a matter of fact, what he said was, if you're if you're an incumbent, do your own self-assessment. And if you feel comfortable enough that people are going to vote for you, go ahead and collect your form. So the field is open. We're going to go there. I've been across the 2 local governments, across the 42 wards. I've met all the leaders. People are interested in seeing a difference. Like I said, Ondo people the electorate are very savvy. We know that, yes, we like everybody likes free stuff. We want to get things for free. But what is sustainable is what the people are interested in. And from the feedback I'm getting, winning is definitely what we're looking forward to doing.
Well, everything you're saying is far from traditional.
Right.
So I'm sure that you've had some challenges that you faced based on the objectives that you plan to fulfill. What can you share with us, some of those challenges and some that you anticipate that you will face based on what you're trying to achieve in Ondo State?
Well, the challenges, there haven't been that many challenges. I mean, the main challenge that would have been the issue of imposition. And whilst we have been lucky that we don't have that and we have a level playing field, then the rest is what comes with the territory. Not everybody is going to like you. That's normal. Happens in politics, happens in work. I'm sure probably happens at a rise. But, you just need to find your way around getting around these things. So the major challenge would have been if there was no playing field. But now that there's one, and we are aware of it, whatever else comes, it's, as far as I'm concerned, and they're minor issues that can be dealt with quite easily.
So we've only got a few more minutes, but quickly, if you do make it to Abuja, what are you going to do to bring down prices? Because federal economic policy naturally affects the entire country, but also obviously affects the people of Ondo.
Right.
What are you going to do to make life more affordable?
Well, I think as part of my legislative agenda, we're talking about sponsoring bills and ensuring that facilities, loans, and the likes. I mentioned CBN intervention funds, for example. It'll be interesting, I don't have the figures, to know how many Ondo farmers have actually benefited from such things as the NERSAL initiative by the federal government, for example. But in any case, that's one of my priorities, to ensure that our farmers are able to access this development funding so that they can actually, see an increase in their yield of their farms. Our women can actually get enough funding for their small businesses. Once the local economy, once it's fine, pretty much everything else will take care of itself. But, we can't control prices, but if we produce enough to sustain ourselves, that should be okay.
All right, and on that note, Olumbe Akinkugbe, Aspirant, Federal House of Representatives, Ondo State, I'd like to thank you for being a part of the show and for sharing your thoughts on
Thank you.
the
Thank you very much.
and wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.